Economic collapse news. I have a question for you. If there's no food in the market, what would you do? If there was a shortage of gas, what would you do? If the city water stopped working, what would you do? Now, these sounds like pretty crazy ideas, but we have to go look in history when this has happened multiple times with multiple countries over decades and 100 centuries from many different parts of the world. So what does this have to do with you? Well, we're at the verge of war, which can cause that. But this is not what the topic's about. The topic's about economic collapse and how that can be the doomsday for many Americans because we just don't have the skills for it. What do I mean? For example, when I went to college, when I went to high school, they didn't teach me how to camp, start a fire, how to filter water, how to farm. None of that stuff was given to me. Bunch of books. Well, those books are great if you want to work in a cubicle, but in the economic collapse, in the prepper community, they say that we're 3 meals away from anarchy, which means that because of our technology and the way we have tried to cut corners and cut costs and increase profits, the way our chain system works, food delivery system works, is stores don't, gather up a lot of stuff, and your local grocery store will run out of food very quickly, considering that most people eat out and they don't even have a week's worth of food at their house. So that brings me to the point that we don't need war to have an economic collapse for us to have chaos. All that's really required is economic collapse. So in an economic collapse, can also lead into a breakdown in society, where water's not being delivered from the city, the food chain is broken down, the truckers are not working, and thousands of people have lost their homes, if not millions of people have lost their homes because of bank foreclosures. And what people don't realize is what kind of crazy stuff these bankers are doing with derivatives. I brought this guy to you so many times with mortgage-backed securities that caused the last crash. And we just saw, and no one even talks about it or really understands it. We just saw there was a freeze, there was a non-liquid bank-to-bank run where the bankers wouldn't even lend to each other money, and interest rate went all-time high, bank-to-bank loans at almost 10%, 8 and some change, okay, where usually it's right around 2 or 3%, somewhere around there. That's what they've been doing, these credits from bank to bank. So the bankers know something's up, and they're not lending their money out, or they don't have the money to lend out. No one knows because it's not public information, because the Fed doesn't get audited. And so we're in a situation where we have $75 billion per day being printed and handed out to the elites, the bankers, all kinds of bankers. We don't know who they are. It's not disclosed again, because people will run to the banks and do bank runs if they knew Bank of America or Wells Fargo or their local bank is bankrupt. They don't have any cash to even meet the reserves or basic business operations. So that's why the Fed is pumping $75 billion, not million, billion dollars, okay? And what? To the bankers, not to you, not to me, not to the average worker in America. Does this sound like the same thing that happened in 2006, fourth quarter, 2007, 2008 in the crash? So there's something going on where we have to give money to the bankers. There's something seriously going on when interest rates are going tipping towards zero or negative interest rates. There's something major going on when we have to have wars. For example, the same day that the Fed was bailing out bankers was the same day that Saudi Arabia got bombed with their oils to distract the people. So in one sense, guys, these are just my opinions, not financial advice. The bankers are just broke, man. They're just broke. Let me fix this camera real quick. They're just broke. And that's why I brought to you guys back in 2017 that these guys are going to bail in. These guys won't give you your money if you have money in the bank and you try to withdraw it. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 grand. I'm talking about if you have more than 20 grand and you try to withdraw it, it's going to be pretty tough because they'll tell you, well, you have to come back. We have to order the money. So that leads me into the collapse, a possibility of a collapse here where it doesn't have to be about bombs. It doesn't have to be bad guys invading our borders. It can be of a internal collapse where, you know, there's too much debt, the rich are getting richer, and there's uprising, is what I call civil unrest. Okay, let me put this up. Civil unrest. And why does that matter? Well, if this thing happens, which is a possibility, there's millions of people all over the world preparing for this stuff. Do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Do you have experience to set up camp? Do you know how to filter your water? Do you have a filtering system? Do you have, you know, a route where you'll go, or are you going to bunker in? Do you have a buggy bag made up ready to go? You know, because we in America, we don't think this is going to happen because this is the greatest country, but it has happened in history to many great countries, from Germany to Rome. Not saying that these are great countries in the sense of ethical, but big empires. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have an empire or not, you're still affected to economic collapse if you're putting yourself to nothingness. And why does that affect you and me? Because this type of behavior causes inflation. It causes the middle class, college educated, to have 1 job, 2 jobs, and sometimes 3 jobs just to make bills meet. It causes everyone to put stuff on their credit card. If it's for business, if it's for personal, if it's for vacation, if it's for college, versus, you know, using creativity and imagination. So is there a possibility that we can have a total shutdown because of economic collapse? Absolutely, especially because the way we don't even know how to farm, hunt, I mean, so many different stuff. We're so dependent on the system to take care of us, and which is going to cause, if that happens, millions and millions of people death, right? And I'm not even talking about like a attack from a bad guy, but I'm talking about just the way our system is rigged. Again, we're just printing billions of dollars, giving to the bankers. No one cares, no one even worry about it. Just very few people just read it and they're, oh, okay, whatever. They don't think about, well, hey dude, that means that my money is going to get diluted down. That means that all the hours that I worked, or your family worked, your grandpa worked, they have a savings, that's getting washed off. See, that's not cool. So now if you add to the equation of, you know, when the countries are broke, they usually go to war, to the equation, then we can have doomsday more closer than any one of us would ever imagine, and I don't want that. But, you know, my question is, do you have a bug out bag? My question is, do you have a route that you would go to? My question is, do you have some extra way to filter out water from dirty? Do you have a way to survive for at least a week or two? What a beautiful butterfly this is. It's an omen, guys. A butterfly is an omen. So those are my questions to you guys. Hopefully these things will never ever happen, but if they do happen, it wouldn't hurt to have a insurance plan, because most of you guys will have health insurance, most of you guys will have car insurance, some of you guys will even insure your stupid phone, but you won't have a backup plan. And if you just go look at what happened in Katrina, if you go look at what happened to Bahamas, you'll realize that it doesn't matter what country the people are in, Big Brother cannot come and bail them out and help them out, dude. Okay, they can tax you, they can shoot you, they can, you know, control you, but they're not going to be able to come rescue you. Okay, they can't. I mean, you have to rescue yourself. I mean, that's the reality of it, that as a smart consumer, you have to be able to think for yourself. And I just listened to us on stream media, like 6 companies, 7 companies. Last time I did my research, a handful of companies, I should say, own all the newspapers, TV stations, radio stations, the food you eat, which is pretty crazy. The elites. So, are you thinking for yourself? Do you have food prepared? And I wouldn't put it too far away that we cannot have an economic